Chapter 30. In the ruins of Crystal City, down in the depths, where the lens of the geosynchronous Energon bridge shone with its star-like brilliance, Megatron stood with the plasma energy chamber. He was alone, and did not speak. Opening one of his intakes, he removed a vibrant ingot of dark Energon and held it in one hand, observing it as if he had never seen anything in the world that could give him such delight. In his other hand, he held the plasma energy chamber balanced on his upturned palm. He approached the lens and held the plasma energy chamber up so he could be certain that its shape and diameter matched the depression in the center of the upward-facing surface of the lens. He appeared satisfied, and slowly, demonstrating, for Megatron, an unusual hesitation, he sank the ingot of dark Energon into the top of the cylinder of the plasma energy chamber. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the plasma energy chamber grew brighter, and brighter still. Its brilliance reduced Megatron and the remains of the installation around him to faint outlines, and then obscured Megatron entirely. And then it began, slowly and horribly, to be tinged with the sickly, hungry violet of dark Energon. The glow, still intense, dimmed. Megatron averted his gaze, even he unable to look directly at the now polluted plasma energy chamber. He reached out and found the lens with one hand, then brought his hands together until by touch he had placed the plasma energy chamber into the depression. The lens turned violet at once. Below it, violet tainted the channel that led from the lens down into the depths of the bridge as the bolus of dark Energon bled slowly down into the very core of Cybertron. Megatron watched, baring his teeth in triumph, his arms outstretched over the violet radiance. He had inverted the original purpose of the plasma energy chamber, turning it to his own purposes, and now victory was that much closer. Now the Decepticons would never starve of dark Energon. Now the Autobots would have to scavenge and scrape for whatever Energon they might find amid the ruins of Cybertron's war-torn cities. Sooner or later, the weary, Energon-deprived population of the planet would turn to dark Energon because even those who did not wish to would have no choice. Megatron realized that he had just made it possible for the Decepticons to win the war without firing another shot. Not that he would do it that way. Where was the fun in fighting a war if you weren't going to fight? And when he crushed Optimus Prime, when he finally had the librarian under the heel of his boot, Megatron wanted to have fought for that moment. That was the gladiator in him. It would never die, whether he took over Cybertron or... He looked up the shaft in the direction of the limitless space beyond. What other worlds were there to conquer, beyond even the worlds Cybertron had known before her long senescence? Megatron would find them, he resolved as he looked up the shaft and watched the violet spread. From several subsurface levels above, having just ducked out of Megatron's view up the shaft where the lens focused its beam toward the distant receiver on Trypticon Station, Bumblebee watched. No, Bumblebee tried to say, but there was nothing he could do. The plasma energy chamber, transformed and desecrated, had been transformed into a reservoir of dark Energon that Megatron used to infect the very core of Cybertron itself. The change in the planet was a feeling in Bumblebee's physical form, as if something had been untuned ever so slightly, the substance of the world thrown into a new balance that was hostile to everything that had lived there before. Cybertron would now make dark Energon. The essence of Unicron had returned to alter and debase what Unicron himself could not destroy. Never had Bumblebee wanted anything more than he wanted to fight and die at that moment. But what would it gain? Optimus Prime had drilled that principle into all of his lieutenants. What does a fight gain? If you are to die, what do we gain by your death? Honor is honorable, but dying for the sake of honor when you could live to fight and defeat an enemy was a waste. Optimus Prime's formulation of it was simple: never let courage be the enemy of reason. Bumblebee almost did. But in the end, reason prevailed. He had to report back to Iacon and tell Optimus Prime and Alpha Trion what he had seen. In the shattered subsurface levels of Iacon, Optimus Prime searched for Sentinel Prime in vain. With him, Jazz turned down byways that terminated in cave-ins or unstable tilting floors leading to bottomless drop-offs. Neither of them knew how far down the damage went, or in truth how far down the tunnels of Irvine reached. They were moving toward the outer edges of the immense complex devoted to the function of Teletron 1, and then they circulated around that edge, knowing that the plasma energy chamber had been hidden somewhere in that area. "How do you think he got out?" Jazz asked along the way. "He's been hidden away for how long, and then suddenly he appears right when Megatron's about to get the code keys and find the plasma energy chamber? I'm suspicious." "You know what would make you more suspicious? If I told you that Starscream did it." "Starscream?" Jazz looked skeptical. "I think he's been looking for a chance to take things over on the Decepticon side," Optimus Prime said. "He contacted us a while back and gave the impression that the war might end if he could. You know. Kill Megatron?" Optimus Prime was nodding. "Yes. Kill or get him out of the way. I don't know if it would have worked, but I think that's where Sentinel Prime came from. I think that Starscream let him go. But now we need to find out where he's gone, if he's still alive." "Optimus," Jazz said after a pause, during which they started to see evidence of scorching and noticed the collapsed wreckage was in smaller pieces. "Maybe he's just dead, and there's no point in going to look for him." "If I find that out, you'll be right," Optimus said. "But while you're finding it out, what are you missing up in the Hall of Records? What kind of head start are you giving Megatron? You need to think about the living." Stopping and pivoting to face Jazz, Optimus said, "You think I'm not worried about the living? How much would it help us if Sentinel Prime were alive, and could be repaired, and fight alongside us?" Jazz stepped right up and stood his ground. "I don't know. You ready to not be Prime anymore? You ready to go back to being Orion Pax?" They stared each other down, both bots holding themselves back from the next intemperate comment that would escalate things to the point where hard feelings lasted beyond the moment. "We're close," Optimus said at the end of the difficult pause. "Too close to not find out now." Jazz didn't say anything else. He walked on, and they kept looking. Shortly after, they started to have their questions answered. It wasn't that difficult to tell when they had arrived at the site of Sentinel Prime's return. "All you have to do is look for the place where everything got melted," Jazz said. "Then when you can't tell what anything is, that's the place with the thing that you're looking for." Optimus Prime didn't say anything. Jazz had to talk, and he had to complain. That was all right. It balanced off Optimus's own tendency to take everything too seriously. Plus, Jazz was right. All either one of them could see was a cooling pool of slag directly under Omega Supreme's launch, and partially melted and scorched ruins radiating out from that area. Part of Teletron 1 looked to be damaged. Optimus would have to call in a repair crew once they had made sure that no Decepticon ambush still lurked in the area. As soon as they got a few good steps away from the launch site, the signs of battle were everywhere, visible even in the aftermath of the collapse. Here were marks of detonation. There were bits of a Decepticon who had met a violent end, or a smeared pool of vital fluid. "I don't see any Prime around here except you," Jazz said. Optimus didn't, either. "Jazz," he said, "I can tell when Megatron is lying. He wasn't lying. Maybe you're not as good at reading him as you thought." Both of them kept up the search for some time before Optimus Prime spoke again. "No," he said with confidence. "He believed what he said to me. That means that someone survived down here, and got away." He looked around. "But where, is the question." His portable grid node chimed. Optimus ran the communication through a security protocol. It came from inside the Hall of Records. He allowed it, and Prowl's voice spoke from the speaker set next to Optimus's jaw. "I'm going to tell you something that you already know, but you don't know I know," Prowl said. "Then tell me instead of telling me you're going to tell me," said Optimus Prime. "I don't know where you would find him down there," Prowl said. "But there are two things you need to know up here." "Tell me." 1. Bumblebee came back. Megatron has polluted the plasma energy chamber. The core of Cybertron is now making dark energon. The other is that, we're not sure how this happened, but Sentinel Prime got a short message out over the grid. Optimus Prime looked around at the ruins and the bodies. No wonder, he said. No wonder what? No wonder I didn't find him here with all of these dead Decepticons, Optimus Prime said. Where is he? We're still trying to trace the path of the message, Prowl said. There have been a lot of disturbances on the grid. But we think it. The signal cut out. Optimus Prime tried to open a channel again, 3 times, but got nothing. Jazz, he said, we need to get back up to the Hall of Records right now.
I'm glad you enjoyed that video/gameplay. Just remember to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. Until next time, goodbye!